Blood. It's vital. It's messy. We all know we need it inside us. But what happens when you run low? Today, a blood transfusion is a routine, life-saving procedure. Matched blood type, sterile bags, easy peasy, right? But rewind with me to the swashbuckling, intellectually chaotic 17th century. Imagine losing a lot of blood. What were your options? Well, prayer, mostly. Maybe some dodgy herbal tea, but in the 1660s, a few daring physicians, buzzing with the new discovery of blood circulation, had a revolutionary, slightly terrifying idea. Transfusion! Putting blood back in! Brilliant! Genius! One small problem. Where do you get the blood? Blood banks didn't exist. Human donors were unreliable, and frankly, nobody quite knew if that was safe either. So naturally, they turned to the next best thing: animals. And not just any animals. While early experiments involved dogs, the real star of this bloody show became the gentle, fluffy sheep. Yes, prominent physicians, particularly a certain ambitious Frenchman, began seriously attempting to transfuse lamb's blood directly into living human patients. Why sheep? Did it work? Did people start buying? Let's bleed this story dry, because this is the bizarre, gruesome, and ultimately fatal tale of early xenotransfusion. Before the 1660s, nobody even really understood what blood did. Ancient theories, like Galen's, suggested blood was produced in the liver, flowed out to the body, and was just consumed by the tissues, like fuel. The heart was maybe important, but the idea of a closed loop, a circulation? Then came William Harvey. In 1628, this English physician published his groundbreaking work, De Motu Cordis, on the motion of the heart and blood. Through meticulous dissection and experimentation, Harvey proved that blood circulates continuously throughout the body, pumped by the heart in a closed system. This was revolutionary, mind-blowing. It opened up entirely new ways of thinking about the body. If blood moves, maybe you can intervene in that movement. Maybe you could add things to it, or swap it out. The possibilities seemed endless and slightly terrifying. The first person to really run with the transfusion idea in a practical way was another Englishman, Richard Lower. Working in Oxford in the mid-1660s, Lower performed the first documented successful animal-to-animal blood transfusions. His famous experiment involved connecting the artery of one dog to the vein of another, using quills and silver tubes. He'd bleed one dog, often to near death, while simultaneously transfusing blood from a healthy donor dog. And amazingly, it worked. The nearly dead dog would often perk right up. Lower's experiments proved two crucial things. 1. Transfusion was technically possible. 2. Significant amounts of blood could be transferred without immediate death, at least between the same species. News of Lower's success spread like wildfire through the scientific circles of Europe, including across the Channel to Paris, the dazzling center of intellectual fashion and fierce scientific rivalry. France, under the flamboyant King Louis XIV, couldn't let England hog the scientific spotlight. Enter Jean-Baptiste Denys, a prominent physician in Paris, personal doctor to the king himself. Denys was young, clever, and eager to make a name for himself. Hearing about Lower's dog experiments, he thought, "Dogs? Amateurs. I shall try this. On humans." But Denys faced the same problem. Where to get the blood? Bleeding healthy humans seemed risky and ethically dubious. So, he looked to the animal kingdom. Why animals? Well, the reasoning was a bizarre cocktail of flawed science and wishful thinking. Purity and temperament. Animal blood, especially from gentle creatures like lambs or calves, was thought to be purer, less corrupted by human passions and vices. Transfusing this pure blood might actually calm agitated or feverish patients. Availability. Animals were readily available. Far easier to grab a lamb from the market than convince a healthy person to potentially bleed out for science. Maybe. Safer? In a weird twist, some thought transfusing animal blood might be safer than human blood, avoiding potential transmission of human diseases or ill humors. Oh, the irony. So Denys, Armed with Harvey's circulation theory, Lower's technique, which he likely learned about quickly, and a flock of readily available sheep, prepared to make medical history, or a complete bloody mess. In June 1667, Denys performed his first audacious experiment, transfusing blood from a lamb directly into a 5-year-old boy. The boy had suffered from persistent fevers and had been bled by his own doctors nearly 20 times already. Yes, bloodletting was still the go-to. He was weak and likely anemic. Denys reasoned the gentle lamb's blood might cool his fever and replenish his strength. He connected a lamb's artery to the boy's arm vein and allowed about 9 ounces, around 270 milliliters, of lamb blood to flow in. Miraculously, the boy survived. Denys reported the boy felt a great heat along his arm, an early sign of a reaction, but recovered quickly, his fever seemingly gone. Denys was ecstatic. He'd done it. Xenotransfusion worked, or so it seemed. Emboldened, he quickly performed a second transfusion a few days later, this time on a healthy adult man, reportedly a robust butcher or laborer who was paid for his trouble. Denys wanted to see the effect on someone not already weakened by illness. This time, he transfused about 20 ounces, nearly 600 milliliters, of lamb blood. The results were less encouraging. The man suffered a strong reaction. He reported intense pain in his arm and kidneys, his pulse raced, he sweated profusely, and his urine turned black the next day. Sound familiar, Radium Girls fans? That black urine was likely hemoglobinuria. His immune system was violently destroying the foreign sheep red blood cells, releasing hemoglobin into his bloodstream and overwhelming his kidneys. It's a classic sign of a severe hemolytic transfusion reaction. Amazingly, this man also survived. Perhaps because the dose wasn't quite lethal, or his body managed to cope, but Denys, blinded by his initial success and ambition, downplayed the negative reaction. He was already planning his next, most challenging case. Enter Antoine Mauroy, sometimes spelled Mauroy, a well-known figure in Parisian society, albeit for unfortunate reasons. He suffered from some form of severe mental illness, prone to violent outbursts, often running naked through the streets, causing chaos. His long-suffering wife was desperate. Denys saw his chance for a landmark cure. If gentle lamb's blood could calm a fever, maybe it could calm a troubled mind. Maybe Mauroy's madness was caused by corrupted human blood, and pure lamb blood could fix it? The logic is painful, I know. In late 1667, Denys performed his third major xenotransfusion, giving Mauroy a dose of calf's blood. Calves were also considered gentle. Mauroy reportedly felt calmer immediately afterwards. Success again! But the calm didn't last. Mauroy soon relapsed into his violent behavior. His wife pleaded with Denys to try again. Perhaps a larger dose this time? Against his better judgment, or perhaps fueled by hubris, Denys agreed. In early 1668, he performed a second transfusion on Mauroy, again using calf or lamb blood, and likely a much larger volume. This time, the reaction was immediate and violent. Mauroy complained of intense pain, burning heat. His pulse became erratic. His nose bled. His urine turned black. And within a day, Antoine Mauroy was dead. Mauroy's death ignited a firestorm. His distraught widow, possibly encouraged and paid by Denys's jealous medical rivals in Paris, who saw him as an upstart, filed a lawsuit accusing Denys of murder. The trial became a sensation, a battleground for the soul of French medicine. Denys's rivals testified against him, arguing xenotransfusion was inherently dangerous and reckless. Denys defended himself vigorously, claiming Mauroy actually died from arsenic poisoning administered by his own wife, a desperate, unsubstantiated claim. Meanwhile, across the Channel, Richard Lower and the English Royal Society, perhaps feeling a bit miffed that Denys had stolen the human transfusion thunder, and perhaps genuinely concerned, were also raising doubts about the safety of animal-to-human procedures. The evidence, particularly the violent reaction Mauroy suffered, matching the earlier healthy volunteer's reaction, strongly suggested the transfusion itself was lethal. While Denys was eventually acquitted of murder, the court seemed to accept the possibility of poisoning by the wife, or perhaps just didn't want to hang a physician to the king, the damage was done. The French Parliament, spooked by the controversy and the clear dangers, issued a ruling in 1670, effectively banning all blood transfusions, unless explicitly approved by the conservative Paris Faculty of Medicine, who were never going to approve it. England and the rest of Europe soon followed suit. Just 3 years after Denys's seemingly triumphant first experiment, the entire field of blood transfusion research slammed to a halt. It would lie dormant, deemed too dangerous and perhaps even morally questionable, for nearly 150 years. So, looking back with our 21st century knowledge, the idea seems insane. Why did intelligent physicians genuinely believe transfusing animal blood into humans was a viable, even desirable treatment? The humoral hangover. Although Harvey discovered circulation, the ancient Greek theory of the 4 humors, blood, phlegm, yellow bile, black bile, still heavily influenced medical thinking. Illness was seen as an imbalance of these humors. Animal blood, especially from gentle lambs, was thought to possess more desirable humoral qualities, less hot or corrupt than human blood, that could restore balance. Species? What species barrier? They simply didn't understand immunology, antigens, antibodies, or the fundamental incompatibility between blood of different species. They saw blood primarily as a vital fluid, and assumed animal blood was similar enough, perhaps even better. The concept of a biological species barrier at the cellular level wasn't grasped. Visible symptoms misinterpreted. The heat felt by the first boy was likely the start of an immune reaction, not a sign of healing warmth. The calming effect on Mauroy after the first dose might have been temporary shock or coincidence. They focused on fleeting positive signs and ignored or rationalized the dangerous ones, like the black urine. Ambition and rivalry. Denys, Lower, and others were caught up in the excitement of a new scientific frontier. National pride and personal ambition likely pushed them to take risks and perhaps overlook dangers in the race to be first. For a century and a half, transfusion was taboo. Patients continued to die from blood loss after childbirth, surgery, or injury, with doctors helpless to replenish the vital fluid. It wasn't until the early 19th century that an English obstetrician named James Blundell, witnessing women dying horrifically from postpartum hemorrhage, decided to revisit transfusion, but with a crucial difference: human to human only. He designed new apparatuses and performed the first successful, though still incredibly risky, human-to-human transfusions, insisting blood should only come from the same species. Even then, it was a gamble. Many patients still died from mysterious, violent reactions. Why did it work sometimes and kill other times? The final, critical piece of the puzzle arrived in 1901. Austrian physician Karl Landsteiner discovered human blood groups, A, B, O. He realized that mixing blood from incompatible groups caused red blood cells to clump together, agglutination, triggering the deadly reactions. Finally, the mystery was solved, Landsteiner's discovery earning him a Nobel Prize. A well-deserved one this time. Paved the way for safe, type-matched blood transfusions, transforming medicine forever. The bizarre, brief era of animal-to-human blood transfusion is a stark lesson from medical history. It showcases the dangerous allure of seemingly simple solutions to complex problems, especially when driven by incomplete knowledge and intense professional ambition. Denys wasn't necessarily evil. He was likely a product of his time, desperately trying to apply a revolutionary discovery, circulation, without understanding the crucial biological barriers. He saw a problem, blood loss, illness, and a potential tool, animal blood, and made a fatally flawed connection. It's a chilling reminder that enthusiasm and boldness in science are vital, but must be tempered with rigorous testing, caution, and a deep respect for the unknown complexities of the human body. Just because you can connect a sheep to a human with a tube doesn't mean you should. And it makes you appreciate that simple bag of matched, sterile blood hanging by a hospital bedside today. It took centuries of bizarre experiments, tragic failures, and hard-won scientific breakthroughs to get there. Let's just be glad our modern transfusions don't come with a side of wool.